Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into the story of Steve Jobs, a global icon who changed the world one device at a time. His journey is a masterclass in vision, failure, and what might be the single greatest comeback in business history.
You know, this quote from hockey legend Wayne Gretzky, it wasn't just some favorite saying for Steve Jobs. It was his entire operating philosophy. While everyone else was busy looking at today's products, Jobs was obsessed with inventing tomorrow's. This focus on the future, well, it's the key to understanding everything he ever built.
But to really get the visionary who built the world's most valuable company, we have to go back to the beginning, to the rebel who started it all in a garage. So let's explore his pretty unconventional start.
Jobs' early life was anything but typical. He was born and adopted in San Francisco, and right from the start, he kind of pushed against traditional structures. He enrolled in the super expensive Reed College only to drop out, saying it was a waste of his parents' money. Instead, he just audited classes he found interesting, like calligraphy. Then he took a spiritual trip to India and even worked at the pioneering video game company Atari. It was this wild mix of counterculture, spiritual searching, and a new fascination with electronics. Before Apple, there was this thing called the Blue Box. His friend, the engineering wizard Steve Wozniak, figured out how to build a device that could make free long-distance calls. And it was Jobs who saw the business potential. They built them, they sold them, and this small, kind of illegal venture planted a huge seed. As Jobs said later, it proved to them that two young guys could actually take on giant corporations and win. Now this quote, this right here, gets to the absolute heart of Jobs' philosophy. See, he never saw himself as just a tech guy. He believed that powerful technology had to be combined with art and intuition. That core belief would define his entire career and become the DNA of Apple itself. So that unique philosophy really laid the groundwork for a revolution. Let's see how that garage project, fueled by this blend of art and electronics, grew into a global phenomenon that would totally change how we interact with technology.
The partnership was simple, but man, was it powerful. Steve Wozniak, the brilliant engineer, designed the Apple I all by himself. But it was Jobs, the visionary, who said, hey, we should sell this thing. They started Apple in his parents' garage, selling a VW van and a calculator for seed money. It became a real company when a guy named Mike Markula, a semi-retired Intel manager, saw the potential and put in that essential early funding.
So, if the Apple I was the proof of concept, the Apple II, that was the revolution. It came out in 1977, and it was a complete, ready-to-use computer for normal people. Jobs obsessed over its design, insisting on a friendly-looking plastic case and a silent power supply. The Apple II wasn't just another product. It was the machine that launched the personal computer into homes and schools all over the world. And the success was just staggering. After Apple went public in 1980, Jobs' net worth exploded. By the time he was just 25, he was worth an estimated $250 million, making him one of the youngest people ever to make the Forbes list without inheriting a dime. But Jobs was just getting warmed up. After seeing a mouse-driven graphical user interface, a GUI, at Xerox's research center, he became obsessed with bringing it to the masses. The result? The Macintosh in 1984. It was introduced with that now legendary Super Bowl ad, the one that showed a hero shattering a gray, conformist world. That was the message. The Mac wasn't just a tool, it was an instrument for liberation. He had changed the world and built a corporate empire. But then, in this stunning turn of events, at the absolute height of his fame, the very kingdom he created turned against him. This was his exile. The central conflict was really a battle for Apple's soul. Jobs was a product romantic, laser-focused on making the Macintosh insanely great, but it was expensive and a closed-off system. On the other hand, the CEO he'd hired from Pepsi, John Sculley, was a marketing guy. He wanted to focus on the more profitable Apple II and its open architecture. Their visions just could not coexist. So when Macintosh sales started to falter, the board had to choose a direction, and they sided with Sculley's market-driven approach. After Jobs tried to get Sculley ousted and failed, he found himself completely sidelined with no real duties. On September 17, 1985, Steve Jobs officially resigned from the company he co-founded in his parents' garage. But this wasn't the end of his story, not by a long shot. In fact, being cast out of Apple became the catalyst for one of the most creative and productive periods of his entire life. Jobs didn't rest for a second. He founded Next, a company that built these stunningly advanced, though expensive, computers. The next computer was so advanced, in fact, that Tim Berners-Lee used one to invent the World Wide Web. At the same time, he bought a small computer graphics division from George Lucas and turned it into Pixar. Their first film, Toy Story, didn't just make a profit, it completely revolutionized the entire animation industry forever.
$7.4 billion. I mean, just think about that. This really shows you the insane scale of his success outside of Apple. When Disney acquired Pixar in 2006, the deal made Steve Jobs the largest single shareholder in the Walt Disney Company. His wilderness years had actually made him more powerful than ever.
So while Jobs was building new empires, the one he'd left behind was crumbling. By 1997, Apple was on the verge of bankruptcy. So in a move that was pure desperation, Apple bought Next for $400 million. And in doing so, it brought Steve Jobs back home.
So Jobs returns as interim CEO to a company that's in total chaos. It's losing money, its product line is a confusing mess, and morale is at rock bottom. The whole situation seemed impossible. So the question is, how did he pull off what many people call the single greatest corporate turnaround in modern history?
He did it by refocusing the company with ruthless clarity. He slashed the product line and then, with designer Johnny Ive, launched this unbelievable string of hits. The colorful iMac made computers exciting again. The iPod and iTunes didn't just sell a device, they completely reshaped the music industry. The iPhone reinvented the telephone, and the iPad created a whole new category of computing. Each product didn't just compete, it redefined its market.
After a long and private battle with pancreatic cancer, Steve Jobs passed away on October 5, 2011. He was only 56 years old, but the impact he left on the world, well, it's undeniable, and it continues to shape our daily lives. Just look at this list. It's not just a product lineup. It's practically a history of the modern digital age, from making the personal computer actually personal, to reshaping media with the iPod, to putting the internet in all of our pockets with the iPhone, and creating a whole new thing with the iPad. His career was a masterclass in seeing the future and then just building it. His name is listed as an inventor or co-inventor on over 450 patents. And what's fascinating is that most of them aren't for some obscure internal circuit. No, they're for the unique look and feel of his products. The curve of a mouse, the flick of a screen, the magnetic power connector. It all goes back to his belief that technology should be beautiful and easy to use.
Steve Jobs always challenged everyone to think different. His story, this journey of rebellion, exile, and this amazing return, it proves that a single vision can reshape the future. So it leaves all of us with a powerful question. What's the next big idea out there that's just waiting to be realized?
If you enjoyed this deep dive into the life of Steve Jobs, be sure to explore our World Changers and Global Icons playlist for more stories about the figures who shaped our world. And don't forget to subscribe so you won't miss our next explainer. Thanks for watching.